All right, we're recording. Start with the Phat-plan. A lot of information to read through. I'm not going to read it for you. You can go back through. I always say this, it's important to sort of check the news because you get framed in by things like Twitter, and maybe you forget uh, some of the important things and notable moves. For example, Nvidia jumped on strong earnings and guidance, but losses followed on Friday as market fears about sustainability of AI-driven growth persisted. And what I would say about that is, I mean, what's changed, over the weekend? Tesla fell 5% in response to the board's reapproval of its CEO pay package. Kind of one of those sell the news events. It's hanging around $400. Walmart, strong earnings. Probably some of those China fears starting to come to rest. Although I keep seeing a lot about shipping rates and whatnot, so who knows? And then Eli Lilly, strong week, strong sector right now in the health sector, so all looking good. Crypto slumping. Sector leaders, we saw this coming, and sadly, I did not take advantage of it. We watched it right there on the relative rotation graph. I got to stop doing that. Just been in a real downtrend lately on my portfolio. Communication services, not so sure if it's going to hang in there, but it did finish positive. Staples, of course, finished positive. Utilities, probably one of the better looking potential setups out there. Right now with XLU, we'll take a look at that. Sector laggards, tech, of course, was a primary laggard, and you'll see that tonight really shown on the relative rotation graph. AI, tech concerns with valuations and whatnot. Everybody's all seen that on the FinTwit if you follow anybody. But certainly some sort of a defensive shift does appear to be taking place. There's no doubt about that. Additional noteworthy themes, volatility, just keep that in mind. That's what keeps getting me. I keep settling in for the ride, and then I get stopped out, and I go, swing the account from 1 to 5% in a day and then lose it all because we're not, sitting tight. We're not taking advantage of the volatility. And then sector sorted by the Chaikin money flow. Right now, what we have is XLV, which is no surprise, showing the most accumulation volume on the Chaikin money flow, followed by XLE, which is inside day, not an inside day. That's on the weekly. We'll check. I think on the daily, we're on an inside day off the 1020 cloud. So there's some potential there, but it's a little shaky, but there is some potential. You can see that the defensives right here are fixing to cross green. So certainly there's your defensive shift, and then financials trying to make a recovery on Friday and a hold. We'll see. That was a pretty strong plunge by the financials. But that's what we have there. Equal weights, a lot of correlation showing up in the equal weights. Look at financials right there. Good increase in volume. Here's your health right there. And then there's your energy right there with RSPG. So there's RSPU fixing to cross or attempting to cross zero as well. So we can see that defensive shift with the growth plays down at the bottom of that. That's in descending order down at the bottom. Technical rank, something of note, healthcare took over the top spot right here. So healthcare is now has taken over sector rating over technology, that's pretty strong move right there. Tech has been holding that, I want to say, since the April lows, and so that's a very strong move. Some interesting notes in there about the economic data that's coming out and the adjustments that have been made, and then some highlights, some economic report dates and times. And basically, we have Dell, Hewlett Packard, Baba, and John Deere reporting this week. Is that? I don't know. I've lost my. Is that John Deere? DE. Let me check it over here. Yep, Deere and Company, John Deere, reporting earnings as well. So, we do have the jobless claims kind of back to the old days, so to speak, before the government shut down with some of the reports. Looks like Wednesday, those jobless claims, based off of what happened last time, we got some negative response on jobless claims. Those will be closely watched, I'm sure. Thanksgiving, of course, we're off, and then we're off. We close early on Friday at 1. Deep view market themes. As far as the themes go, right now we have it's pretty obvious. Genomics, home construction, retail. So your bios, your home construction, retail, and airlines, they're attempt. That's not right. That is not right. I'm showing the weekly. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the daily right here. What I was going to show you here is where you can see clearly genomics, biotechs, and healthcare, and maybe the banks starting to pick up. I mean, like I said, they had a strong day on Friday or a decent day on Friday, but this is pretty much where we're at. Your bios and healthcare. That's what we're looking for. Maybe home construction, maybe banks are starting to make a turn, some real estate. We'll see oil and gas again, the XLE, but right now, definitely healthcare. That's where it's at in the bios. I tend to stay away from the bios, but the healthcare, plays like BSTG and such are potentially available. Let's see. Oh boy. I tell you what, on Sunday night, when you send me a message from my other life and need me to do something because you didn't do your job, I get really frustrated. Okay. Yep, yep. All right. Sorry about that. I'm older and I'm getting a little more cranky in my other life as I'm in charge and whatnot. So getting back on track here, moving past deep view. So that's deep view. And then if we go over here and correlate it with Traders Lab, you can see that the farm is and the bios right there. So they're very much in alignment with what both platforms are seeing. And we're seeing pretty good volume adjusted relative strength, which is this pink area, matching with the volume. That's extremely bullish. I mean, look at the weekly and the monthly, and look at the weekly and the monthly. That's bullish, man. That's very bullish. And on the monthly here, lithium hanging in there. That's of note, right? With tech having some struggles, it is of note that lithium is hanging in there. Steel keeps hanging around as well, at least on the monthly. This is one I'm gonna watch for a pretty good setup in here. And then we've got one I was looking through the plays earlier. And then natural resources. So again, your XLE, your commodities hanging in there. And then banks. So again, the banks coming in there, and then medical, sticking with the healthcare, precious metals. But down here, Google holding everybody up with the tech, definitely one to watch. And then telecommunications hanging into the top 10. But these guys have obviously taken a slide. That's very obvious. And then market carpet for the week. You can simply see it right there with your tech and your large cap boys struggling a little bit. I wanted to show you, let me show you guys something here. So this is, let's go to our market summary off of stockcharts.com. And look at that. So momentum, large cap momentum, struggling like that. But look at these small caps down here, how they performed Friday. My goodness. I mean, just super. Rarely do you see it all the way across the board dark green. So that was sort of a broad breadth improvement across the board in all small caps on Friday. So something to keep an eye on. I mean, mid caps did very well also. And then the NAMO, I noted this on Thursday, sent out an alert. It is pretty much 100%, right, by the dip type situation this entire past year and even longer, really. Once we get overextended on the NAMO, oversold, it has been lock, just awesome. And I mean, is it perfect? No. Like here, we were oversold, and if you'd have just bought it as soon as it was oversold, you'd have been in a bind. But it's been a wonderful place to look to get long. You can see the bigger picture on these dips on when to get long. And so we had this pretty bad day on Thursday. So is that the bottom? I don't know yet, but it was definitely on Friday. It was worth trying to take some longs. Newer Dow theory, I think we're going to run into, and I shouldn't be just saying my opinion, but it looks to me like we're going to run into a lot of overhead here. So if we do have a gap up on Monday morning, could be a classic example of strong open, weak close. TNX, something to note, haven't seen a lot of talk about this, but we closed under the 50 simple moving average on the 10-year on Friday, and that's usually a positive thing. On the US dollar, I mean, that looks like it's wanting to break out to me. So a little negative here. I mean, that clearly to me looks like Dixie wants to bust loose and break out. Could be wrong again, but that certainly is what it looks like. Now I'm long gold right now, so I'd prefer it to go down, and it's obviously better for the market. But right now, that certainly looks like we're trying to put in higher highs and higher lows and break this pivot level right here around 100 and see some continuation. It's holding 100 right now, obviously key level. And we continue to see new lows putting in. I mean, that is traditionally not good. I mean, obviously you can see the red shaded areas where we're predominantly red, and it's been bad. And frankly, on Friday we did the same thing. So it's not like Friday was a great day. Friday just wasn't a terrible day. on the SPY chart with the deep view market trend analysis, I mean, it's that simple, and I put that in there. Wait for it to turn green. That's pretty much it. We're below again Friday. Good a day as it was, we banged our head right off of 666. You can see it right there. That's this level right here going across. So we haven't actually achieved getting back above it. That would put us back above the key moving averages as well. But we're not right now. That's the bottom line on that. And then weekly relative rotation, we noted this for several weeks coming. There was nobody in the leading quadrant, and the only one was XLK for a while. And then now we've gotten to where nobody is in it. And you can see the left hook coming. I mean, it's energy, it's utilities, it's healthcare, it's defensives, it's XLRE, it's value, XLP. And even XLI with value play starting to poke its head up like it wants to run right here. So definitely something to keep an eye on for the longer term. I mean, we cross over in this leading, this could be a pretty sizable shift. Pretty intensive read through on there because I feel like it's more key than, we're seeing some definite establishment that it's going to occur this week if we see these guys move into leading, XLU and XLV, which is why I note XLU is really a place to look to get long these energy related plays. And of course, following with XLE. So utilities and XLE is definitely a focus. Not real big on the healthcare. I agree with, Stock Talk Weekly says a lot about what's sexy, and not too many plays in healthcare come off as sexy. There are some, I suppose, like HIMS, for example, but it's not a setup for me. And then before we look at sectors, let's check our growth versus defensives. As you can see right here, when we broke this area, this was a key level. And over here, especially, we had this wedge on the equal weight. I mean, just this is all versus SPY. I mean, just boom, just absolutely terrible. And now we are at key levels. I will say that here and here. So you can see where we're testing this prior key resistance is now turning into support. That is a classic example. And over here, same thing. This was a key level, not as strong, but it is a key level for XLY versus XLP. Equal weight has much more strong level. And then growth versus SPY, this does not look good. XLK, frankly, has busted through this key level and looks like there's room down to here around 4. So that is not looking good for XLK at all. XLC surprisingly strong, but running into overhead resistance. And same thing here. We had a little bit of a turn on the consumers, but running into so a little more room to run into resistance here. But frankly, all three of these have now flipped over a period of 2 weeks to where they are going to be retesting key levels with resistance above. So it's going to take time, in other words. Not saying that we're going below the 200 moving average and we're crashing, but it's going to take time to repair after a drop like this. I don't see a V bottom, in my opinion. That's strictly my opinion. So I'll withhold that. But you can definitely tell that we have lost some key levels. Value, trying to break out right here with XLI. This would be interesting. We saw the relative rotation graph that it's in the weakening, the lagging quadrant, but that it is definitely turned up and trying to fight its way into the improving quadrant. Financials, kind of moving sideways. Could take a little more time and then move up. Just want to see it not go lower right now. And then materials, not looking great. It's got a lot of overhead here. Same thing with energy. This is the closest one to breaking out, but it's definitely got some overhead. But it does appear to be the one that's fighting the most. But XLI is probably the newest one to be setting up. So XLE, if you look at the relative rotation graph, is already in the improving area. XLU is in the improving area, trying to cross over into leading. Taking a sip of wine here. I'm trying to really get back to my core focus, which is relative rotation graph and my relative rotation histogram that I use for swing trading, and get back to my versus SPY comparisons and really focus on those areas that tighten things up. Just a little disappointed. And then defensives. So defensives right now, XLU, you can see almost a VCP formation setting up here. We definitely have a higher high right here and a higher low right here. So we could break a little cheap pivot right here. And then through this pivot, I mean, that would be obviously great, and go back up into all-time highs and test them. And right now we're at a key level. So right here, we're looking pretty good for positioning in XLU. Definitely going to be a focus for me. And then consumer staples, looking like we're wanting to put in a new high right here, or at least come test it. Walmart's earnings, obviously very good. Cost has had a lot of negative events lately or news around it. We'll see how that plays out, but that's going to definitely affect that sector. Real estate, just right now, it's not showing it. I mean, it could be, but right now it's not showing it. And then Phat, major loss on Friday, dropped my account 10% on the week and went from just under 40% last week to now only 27% year to date. Still well outperforming SPY, but obviously extremely disappointing. We're going to make that correction this week. I lost a lot this week and just frankly just lost my mojo. I got to get it back. Let's see here. All right, let's go to our Moglen ETFs. Let's check our relative rotation. Margin call deleted. What is that? Earnings going up? I mean, yes. Let's get a little futures check here. Yeah, it's holding sideways. See that 5-day declining though? Oh, that thing's declining. That is usually, you don't see that. Again, it takes a strong catalyst. I mean, you see that 10-day, 10-20 cloud coming, it's declining at this point. You're below the 50. 6,600 is a key level. Couldn't hold it tonight when we opened. I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe, but we'll see. Let's see how Bitcoin's doing as our indicator. A little drop. I mean, it's still above the rising 5-day moving average, so nothing wrong there. Gold struggling. Worried about that with Dixie. May have to cut that position. No one, that thing could drop to 4,000 in a second. Silver, same positioning. Copper, holding up well. And that's obviously good for the growth sector as well. WTI, ooh, a little pop on oil. And natural gas. Hanging down there. Widowmaker right there. All right, let's check our Moglen ETFs. So this is basically all health bio plays type stuff. We'll click through them just so you can kind of see them. So XBI looking great, RRG looking great, IBB, IDNA, BBH. So that's all biotech, genomics, revolution genomic. Yeah, it's all genomics. So, and then MSOS. Anybody notice that on Friday? Something interesting, something to keep an eye on here. I don't know. Is that potentially healthcare related? I mean, look at that move on Friday. I get upset when I don't even get a chance to get in them, but that's a 10% move on Friday by MSOS. I'm wondering if that's almost healthcare, becoming sort of like healthcare related. We'll see. And then the rest of these guys, they're all pointed down, man. So your like your ARC financials, all that stuff, your fintechs, all your innovation stuff. I mean, they are just crashing towards the lagging quadrant. So that's not a good sign for growth. And I'm gonna tell you, like ARC F, I mean, that's well heading for that. That's not good. Like I just don't see a V bottom when you got that kind of a situation going on. Again, not my place to say, I suppose. Tech, let's put the arrows on them. So with tech right here, we've got, look at Drive. I mean, we watched that thing for weeks, just coming across, looking beautiful. And then now it's not, right? It's taking a dip by, now it does, in fairness, it's taking a counterclockwise move right here, potentially. And that would be a good sign. But look at SMH with that hard turn down. You never want to see those hard turns. That's usually a bad sign. But let's look at Drive. I just came across and what we look for. So let's isolate Drive. It was just such a good example. I mean, we've been tracking it. And so right here on June the 20th, we cross over into the improving, and it's on increased velocity. That is exactly perfectly what we want to look for. And so week ending June 27th. Now let's go to the chart. Let's go to the daily just to show any new people. And you go to Drive. And you find June 27th. Right, that's what we said. Yeah, June 27th. You know, it's so easy to go back later and say, well, you should have just bought it here on June 27th, but there you go, right there. And so here's June 27th, and then look at how tight it gets right here, and then puts in that upside reversal, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So again, June 27th, we're looking at the relative rotation graph, and we're like, oh yeah, that's looking good right here. And then it tightens up right there, puts in the upside reversal. So we're probably watching it right here with this double inside bar, and then it fails and then recovers. And that's the most powerful um, inside bar you can have. Or was it? Sorry, let me find it. I want to show that to you. That's an important one. All right, so it technically, by definition, right here, it's not an inside bar on this day. This one is, and so it's actually not even a mini coil because this broke below the low. But you see the tight price action right here, and then we put in this upside reversal bar, and it's on heavy volume. That's why it's colored black. So through that high of the day on this upside, so here's the buy right there, and there's your stop loss. Technical is below this. I don't ever keep mine that low, but you can. So right there on drive. And then from there, I mean, it's money, right? We have the retest right here. You're up about 1%, you're up 8%. And, you know, technically you could have held through this because there's your original place. I wouldn't have. A lot of people do two closes below the 20, you know, and get out. But you get the point. I mean, this is what we're looking for right there. And then just look at the continued strength. Boom. Once it hit that leading quadrant. And then now it's starting to take that dip by. And it'll come down in this weakening most likely. And then you get another opportunity at it. So a good example right there. All right, where was I? Oh, let's get back to all these guys. A little sidetrack there. Just want to show that for anybody. That's basically how you want to see it play out. So having said that, these guys are all going the wrong way. There's no way around it. All right, that's most of our technology. Your innovative 50, all these guys are going the wrong way right now. All right, let's check energy. And you can see why I'm excited about energy. They're going the right way. And so we have XOP, for example, right here is fighting it. And I tell people this all the time. This 100 level is like a 50 EMA. And you can see right here where it banged off of it. And let me zoom that in for you and show you. So let's go back a couple weeks. So here we go. So here's the week ending October 31st. And we go one more week. Look at that acceleration into that 50 and then comes back off of it right there. And then now we're moving a little bit sideways. So that's one to watch this week to see which direction it wants to go. But basically, we've got commodities well positioned. So gold, potential dip buys. Gold's very tight right now with commodities. What the heck? There we go. Silver, probably looking a little stronger than gold, as you can see right here. I have trouble with my mouse finding. It's not skipping for me. It's okay. And then OIH right there. That one looks very healthy on the price chart as well. It's in a very nice pullback right now. Steel, look how that's beautiful. I was talking about steel earlier. Beautiful looking. So we got to keep that one in mind for any setups. And then USO. I got to get back to writing everything down. It's another change I made. I'm going back to writing everything down. Got a little sloppy with all that. So, sorry. SLX, USO looking to make that cross. So this will be huge. That's WTI. That's West Texas Intermediate Crude. It's basically a fund that tracks that. XLE, look at energy, looking to make want to see it increase in velocity and push over into that area. And then that's just a 2X on it. All right. So commodities looking good. Financials looking bad. So you can see the stark difference right there. Now, XLRE, though, we can say XLRE looking good. And real estate, yeah. So real estate showing some potential here. We saw that on the chart as well. A little weaker potential than, say, XLU, but XLRE showing some potential right there. Wrong button. Energy and commodities. Let's see here. Consumer discretionary. There we go. And arrow. right there. So XLP now has crossed over into improving, and that is not good. That is a definite defensive shift. You can see the rotation, and XLU crossing over. You can see that as well. So that's not what you want to see right there. Not what you want to see at all. Don't like that. Jets, while it's looking good on the price chart, it's definitely declining. XRT, no, none of these go. Let's see here. So retail, ETF, RTH, trying to make that push over. More than likely fails right here. Again, kind of like a 50 EMA, but you get the point when you look at these as a whole. Not a lot. How's tan looking? So tan taking a little dip by over here. Kind of could be included, I think, at this point with the energies, in my opinion. So we'll see. And then IBIT completely turned away. So again, Bitcoin could be having a good night, but right now, defensives, XLU, XLP looking pretty solid right there. And XLC, which was trying to look good on the price chart, frankly, looks like it's crossing over to the lagging. So not a lot of expectation there. And that's it. Yeah, that's it on those guys. All right, let's go over to Deep View and let's get to our ETFs and our setups. So I'm bringing that back where I always check the ETFs. Again, I got sloppy, frankly, and wasn't checking my ETF list every night. And I redesigned it where I can check off of my 1020 cloud for setup. So what I have here, so again, XLE, this is the 2X for it, is in a nice setup. Look at that relative strength right here. It's definitely in a relative strength phase. Looking really good. Got a nice upside reversal here. So looking to play ERX through XLE, how it performs tomorrow. And again, gold has gotten tight. Not so tight that we've got RMV tightness, but we did put in a bullish reversal right here on GDX. Now gold, it has gotten tight. So this is the miners, GDX, and then gold is basically like spot price type, kind of like USO for XLE, same thing. Look how tight it is. Starting about right here, 1, 2, 3 tight closes. You can call it 4 tight closes in a row. Look at the RMV down to 0. I mean, that's worth, playing at either side, which way it goes. IEO, oil and gas. Oh. So again, IEO setting up. Look at that volume coming in on IEO, and then low volume and a little bit of a flush out right here, and then started getting bought into at the end of the day Friday. IHI, medical devices, no surprise there with the bios and health looking good. Mid cap ETF, inside day, IWM. We noted the breadth on the small caps on Friday, and look right there. We have a nice increasing volume. That's a bullish inside bar setting up right there. OIH is probably my favorite one right now. I think it's got the prettiest setup off that 50 EMA. Institutions came in, bought it up off this stage 2 breakout move, and then see where we moved back above the 200 right here. Kind of straddled it for a while and then wedged underneath it. There's your wedge pop. And then now here's your pullback into the 20 EMA. It fails, goes all the way down to the 50, and it's holding this gap. Look at that gap right there. So that's probably my favorite one for tomorrow, which I will long because I haven't been doing too well. I will look to play the ETF alone. And then PAVE, I'm not a big fan of that one. And then silver, let's check. It's not actually doesn't look as good as gold. Now it's got the better volume behind it. And then steel, again, steel in a very good setup. So look at that relative strength by steel. I mean, that's pretty good divergence right there, coming down to the 50, and the relative strength line pointed at a 45-degree angle. And that's beautiful. So steel, again, any setups in that, maybe even playing SLX as well. So SLX and OIH looking pretty good there. All right, and let's go to, so these are fat pullbacks to the 1020 cloud structure. And we have several of these. What I'm going to start doing, another thing that I noticed that I kind of changed up on, and I've already copied and pasted these over to TradingView, and I'm going to start focusing on the TradingView chart with these again. I think I got a little sloppy and a little too confident. You start trying to reflect and see what mistakes could have made. And then I'm going to take the Stock Talk Insiders plays, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to move them over to TradingView. Oops. And then we'll call through them like that. Give me a second here. Copy and paste it. Got to add a comma to it because TradingView won't take it without a comma. There we go. Guild in there. Interesting. All right, so we'll start with should be Vera. Yeah. All right, so here we go. All right. So looking at these guys, let's see what we got here. And we'll keep both we'll keep the 5-day on there. You know what? We'll take that 5-day off. We'll just look at the setups themselves. All right, let's see what we got here on Vera, and then we'll work our way through them. And I'm gonna take my time a little bit. We'll really work through these because I feel like I've just been going too fast and gotten too confident and lost too much money to be letting it go. So Vera, I'm not really seeing much I like there. Again, biotech plays, but I have pretty good fear of biotech. Now I will say our relative rotation histogram is starting to show signs of improvement, but I'm not a big fan. This was too high, too fast type mentality, and then decent pullback. You know what? It's a nice low volume pullback, and off of earnings, the earnings response was great. You know, change my mind on that. I got to stop. I just need to play downsize a little bit on these bios. So we'll leave that one on there. Form. So Form is a semiconductor play that's holding up very well. It's actually in a flag right now. You can see that. And has pulled back on light volume. You can see the volume dry up right here. It's worth leaving on it if we're going to see a return to the tech plays. Then this is definitely one worth leaving on there. Cassie, information technology again. So is it worth leaving on there? I mean, it's got the volume, it's got the relative strength lines. You can see the relative strength down here. I mean, we're looking pretty solid right there. It's a little deep in the earnings for me because I'm not seeing I'm seeing distribution volume in there, and I'm not seeing the high volume accumulation. So I'm gonna take that one off. All right, PAAS. You know, I'm pretty much into just playing GDX if we're going to see commodities go, and I don't really like the way this looks post earnings coming down like that. So definitely coming off. AMX. Taking that one off. I'm looking for anything. I'll show you when we get to the next one. So HII, probably a pretty good one. Let's stop talking insider play. You know, held up reasonably well. It's just kind of basing after the explosion. Would have liked to see it hold up off this earnings gap, but it came down and filled the gap and got bought up. Came down and filled the gap and got bought up. And so what do we have here? We have a second attempt to fill the gap. So we filled the gap and bounced right off the 50. So now we have this gap area right here, which is creating a pretty nice confluence with it bouncing off the 50. So even though we have a little bit of distribution in there, relative strength line is still looking good. So yeah, keeping that on there. Good looking upside reversal play. TSEM, semiconductor play. Now, don't like this in this environment. Not interested. There's going to be, I'd rather buy Google right now. You can play a Google 2X or something. We got a $25 key level on a utility play, and we know that utilities are looking to potentially move. What I don't like is this fade off of earnings, and it's got gap downs here and here. Only because utilities are doing so strong. Relative strength line is good, and we're at a key level. So I'm getting back to making sure I got confluence, and we do have confluence with this $25 level. It's a nice round number, Livermore level, and we have it being a pivot level. So we have a pivot level, we have a Livermore level, we have an upside reversal. Negatives, we've got 3 within 10 days distribution volume. I'm gonna keep it on there because it's in a sector that's looking to break out. BNS, major banks, taking that one off. CRK, oil and gas play. I know because I played it before. Love the accumulation right here. Love the pullback into the earnings VWAP. See it right there. 1020 cloud, hammer bar on Friday. As long as W2I, TI, as long as oil and gas isn't, crashing or something on Monday, it stays valid. Strong relative rotation momentum right now. It's in the leading quadrant. Looks great, frankly. Looks really good. REAL. So that one, I want to say it was a Stock Talk Insiders play. Made a ton of money and then it pulled back here. It's off a pivot level. It's got the highest volume within a year. Yeah, stays on there. Hassie, no, doesn't have the volume for me. From finance, but I'm just not sure about finance if it's ready to go, right? So we're focused more on utilities and or commodities, areas that we kind of know we're seeing now. Las Vegas, so we've got the signs of accumulation by institutions, so we definitely have the volume requirements. Yeah, this is the first pullback to the 20 EMA, and you can see I played it a lot, so I've got a lot of trash on here. Clean that up a little bit. So what I like about this one is we have a structure break, and so if we are going to see a return to growth, it's on there. Look at the relative strength line, new high before price. So here's our breakout, and then now first test of the 1020 cloud coming in there. Could see a pullback to this earnings VWAP, would almost be an automatic buy right there. A little bit of no man's land, don't like that. A little bit of made its 20% target. So if you don't know, this green area is 20% from the structure break and then started pulling back. So you got that going on as well. And a little cautious because tech right now and growth, a little cautious on them in general, but it's on the list. If we're going to see a return to growth, I want to be a part of it. Integrated oil play again. So we have a structure, failed, came into this key level at $20. Power 3 move, explosive, came back, and now we're testing this key level at 25. Wish this pivot was a little higher. It's right there. Yeah, it's right there with that 25. So we got the confluence. Yeah, nice upside reversal, good volume accumulation. Again, eyes on WTI for a little momentum assist. Cat, no. Core, COHR, no. Don't like these gap downs. We've got a semiconductor play to look at, 3 within 10 days. Taking that one off. Would have liked a better response off of earnings. MTSI, another semiconductor play. Nothing wrong with it. We got highest volume within a year. Yeah. I mean, we got some good volume behind it. Volume into earnings. I don't think they're selling after the gap up. We did. Yeah, we did. We did sell. We hit the 20% target, pulled back. Probably needs a little more time. Don't like that outside bar again. We've got to set up. BKV. Did we look at that one already? No. Yeah, we did. BBT. Beacon Financial, taking that crap off of there. I don't even know how that made it in. Watch it go 100% tomorrow. MKSI. No. All right, now they're going to start thinning out just the way our chart. So when we do it on deep view, you can see it a little easier when we're going to start thinning out. The rest of these guys, maybe. We'll see what we got here. We'll run through these and we'll get to Stock Talk Insider. So these will go pretty quick. We got a humongous candle. I mean, humongous cup with handle. It's an energy related play. So EXE is a very slow mover. I'm going to take it off. FLS. I think I saw this one earlier. It looks fantastic. Yeah. So we've got huge base we broke out of. We got the mean reversion potential. There it is. Right there on it. Mini coil, failed breakout out of the coil. Starting to lose momentum. Don't like seeing that. So could see it come down and really test this mean reversion spot right here. We'll keep it on there because that's, obviously a huge breakout, but we haven't seen the accumulation volume come in yet. Med-P, no, a little bit too extended for me. Off the 50 here, pushing, not extended, I'm sorry. It's holding its gap up, but it hit that 20% profit, and I don't like it. It's coming off a huge run. ISRG, so traditional, huge play for funds to buy. And with health looking good, and look at that accumulation volume down there, right? This thing could really go. I mean, so it had a terrible response to earnings, and then now had a gigantic gap up off of earnings. Well, somewhere in there around 20%. So true power earnings gap, and then held this prior key level. You can see when I was playing it before, and then now has put in an upside reversal. It's putting in higher lows on its way. Look at that accumulation volume, relative strength line, new high before price. Nothing wrong with this one at all. Top watch for me. BHVN, precious metals. No, again, I'll probably play GDX unless one really sticks out. Like B is a good ticker in precious metals right now. Been working really well. Contract drilling, got my eyes on this for XLE plays. Definitely moved out into stage 2 here. That's when it crosses 30-week moving average, and then now has based a little bit, almost flaggish, so to speak, pulling back right here. But the response to earnings wasn't good, so I take HP off. G4, nope. So these will pick up now. AMBA, nope. Apple has had coming off a huge move up, put in an upside reversal after basing. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, look at the relative strength of this pullback by about. So this is, I was going to show you this earlier. So here's your explosion. And then now as that pullback occurred in the greater market, look at the relative strength by Apple. Look at it showing right there. And that's what you're looking for. That's the tennis ball underwater, baseball underwater. Barry Bonds used to put them underwater. But this is what you're looking for right there. That's your basketball underwater. Tennis ball, whatever. MLI, no. And you want to see that accumulation volume from behind it too. So like right here, nice accumulation, holding up well, low volume pullback. Nobody wants to sell it. Keeps getting pushed back off this reversion area right here. And it's marine shipping, oil related too, I believe. So definitely keeping that on the list. Hey, Matt. No, I don't like it. NOV. Nope, coming off. ATI. No, I mean, it had its move, but I'm out on the move. T and K. Okay, so we got another marine shipper showing up right here. Beautiful accumulation. Again, relative strength while the rest of the market was pulling back. And we've got 2 of them now. WCC. Wholesale distributors broke out of a huge base, came back into the 20, and then now we're consolidating right here. Yeah, I don't like this distribution volume in here, and we've got better plays. PLD looks pretty good. Real estate play. We don't have any of those yet, and we're just mostly because I want to see how it performs tomorrow. Not that I'm going to buy that one. SRE. Utilities, gas distributor, yes. So we have a base, we have structure. We don't see beautiful accumulation down in here, but we do see a potential volume accumulation character change right here. So it's not that I expect it tomorrow to break out, but I expect it to start working up the right side here with what we're seeing from utilities. So, the move right here, we buy through it. We got a 3% move to the structure height. It might take a little while, but this is a solid play. Leaving it on there. So HT sponsored cruise lines. Could be a good one if we see a return to growth. It's got room to go here. 20% move. We put it at 10% high off the structure break. Yeah, I mean, beautiful volume, and then held itself well through the earnings with the market pulling back. Just wanted to keep on there. ONC, another, so we got a structure break, kind of failed, but it's holding this pivot level at 343. And that tends to happen as long as they don't go too far down. It depends on each one, but I mean, 3-4% is not going to hurt it into the structure. They're not going to always hold this key pivot level right here. But I'm not interested in pharma. And then INSM, man, I think moving up, look at relative strength. Not enough accumulation for me. I'm gonna hold off on that one. SBSW. Precious metals play. It's a little bit loose for me. I'd like to see it tighten up, although it's definitely showing relative rotation. Again, though, I'll probably just play. Lost my place here. We didn't look at this one. FER, no, below the 1020. Not interested in that. SRE, yeah, utilities play we looked at. And then HTHT, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it from a growth perspective. RRC, Range Resources, another oil and gas setting up in a, oh man, look at that structure. It's not the fastest mover. I think we've got other plays. We'll use AHR. Healthcare REIT. Boy, that thing, look at that thing coming out of that structure. And then now first pull back to the 20. Good accumulation. Again, not the fastest, a lot of these health plays are not, but definitely going to keep it on there. Beautiful volume accumulation. Just basing out after, so explosion, consolidation type thing. And then pharma play. So we got a coil right here. Gosh, that thing's long coil. Now, the further they get out, the worse they get, but it is a pharma play with relative strength that hasn't blown up yet. So, and it has a good response to earnings, and it's right here off the 30-week and the 50. Nothing wrong with trying to fill that gap right here. Let's see. Yeah, 6% or so. Nothing wrong with it. We'll leave it on there. Okay, so this one's in the buy zone off of structure. Nice response on the earnings. So from a finance perspective, one to look at. Got some can move a little bit here. Again, not a giant mover, but it can move, and I could see that coming quickly if finance starts to show its pace. Now, with that distribution volume in there, 3 in the last 10 days, for me, I'm not interested. IBM making the list. So if we see a return to growth, I mean, IBM off the 50, off the structure, love it. So we got a little cheap pivot right here. It held right there. And then look at that, beautiful. And then right here, beautiful, closed above it on Friday. No distribution volume at all. That's a top watch for me. If we're going to see a return to tech, that's number one right there for me. Look at that. Right, that rising 50. Coming off a structure. Little pullback right there. I mean, did it go below the 1020? Yeah, but look at the selling was not there. Man, that's opportunity right there. I can see that going back to new highs. 8% move. CM, Canadian Imperial Bank, another finance place below 1020 cloud. Going to take that off. And then CHRW, is that transports? Yeah. Transportation. So gap up, held its gap. Relative strength. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, leaving that one on there. So these guys we're leaving. On here, let's check our Stock Talk Insiders setups. Potential setups. See what we got here. So obviously most of the pros, kind of a lot of tech focused guys. So some of these are going to struggle. And again, they may have told you a long time ago they're not even looking at them. I put them on there in my watch list and I just go through them. It's up to you, go back and look at the due diligence and see if they're worth tracking. But HII is one that you wish you were in before earnings, and you wish you'd have got in with Stock Talk Weekly back here. Popped out of its base and now is coming back and retesting it right there. So you've got an opportunity right here. retesting that pivot right there. So upside reversal through that high of the day on intraday volume. Not a lot of distribution in there, relative strength. It's not doing anything wrong. It could continue to consolidate right here, and it could be range bound for a while. But with steel, another thing, steel looking good, and I believe this one's shipbuilding connected, and could be wrong on that, but I believe it is. And steel looking good from our ETF review. Definitely one to keep on there, in my opinion. ADM, not for me. WINYW, excuse me, win. We've got a casino LVS, I think looks better. SPHR is always one kind of interest. Spear, tennis ball underwater, holding up well. Got one distribution day on that market pullback. It actually went up off of a good positive response to earnings. It's holding the earnings VWAP right here. Gotta keep it on there. That looks damn good. So again, just keeping our eyes if we're going to see tech make a run back. NU, regional banks, nice accumulation, very nice accumulation. A little bit loose, wide-bodied candles that I would like to see it. For me, I like to see those low volume pullbacks with some nice tight candles as well. Want to see an inside day right here. Tough to get in right there for me. Apple, I'm gonna leave it on there though. Apple, we've already got on there, keeping that one. PCYO, utilities play, and the utilities sector, hell yes. The utility sector looking to make a move. Yeah. And it's in really nice position right there, closing back above the 50-day. Yeah. Oh yeah, through that high of the day on intraday volume. And then Guild, biotech play, put in an inside bar coming off this structure. So this is going to be an aggressive play, but coming off this structure pivot right here, you had opportunity. You can see where I was looking at it before, extended that pivot line. But you got an inside bar right here. So yeah, through that, traditional inside bar through that high of the day on intraday volume goes into, looks like all-time highs. And, biotech is hot right now. If it gaps up, I'm not going to play it, but through that high of the day on intraday volume, yeah. All right, that's about it, guys. That's the setups. I'll post a recording and the tickers for you. Appreciate you coming out. Just change it up a little bit. Went back to my old ways on TradingView. Just see if I can get myself back on the right track. Thank you for coming out and appreciate your support.